Have you ever wondered what makes bodies tick? Are you creating the sexual reality you desire and require? Would you like to know more about what else is possible with bodies? What if your fantasies are not as strange as you thought they were? What if you could learn to be kinder to your body and kinder to others' bodies? Would you like to create confidence in the bedroom and beyond? How has your sex life or lack of it affected other areas of your life? Have you lost your mojo and wondered where to find it? Everyone has the potency to be a sexual superhero. Get ready to listen, sense, and play with the sexualness that is you. Now, here is the host of The Pleasure Zone, Body Whisperer, Milica Jelenic.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to The Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic, and lately I've had a lot of guests on, and I've had very few shows with just me. So this week is just me. How lucky are you guys? And my topic for today is called, What's Your Power Play? So it was actually inspired by a friend of mine who inspires a lot of my shows. And one of the things that came up for her was that it was like she's noticing that in relationships that there's always this thing for her where there's this sort of like power struggle, and she kind of gives herself up to the person. And so in Access, there's been a lot of discussion lately on something called, we've been talking about it as the 49-51. And one of the things that is like when you own a business, say you're a sole proprietor and you choose to have a partner join you. And in a business, as a partner, you can be given any kind of percentage of the business. You can be a 10% owner, a 50% owner. And oftentimes when the relationship or the partnership is not equal, the partnership will be a 49-51. And it's actually something I've seen also on a lot of shows like The Dragon's Den and other shows where there's entrepreneurs and somebody is coming in to invest and they're choosing to have control. And the control goes to the person with the 51% vote. So in relationship, when you are choosing to be 51, you're actually choosing to be the one in total control. And what does that create for the other person? So when you're choosing to be the dominant or superior ass, I'm going to call it in this case, when you're choosing to be superior ass, that automatically creates the other person as inferior if they're not choosing to be aware of you being the superior ass. So on today's show, we're going to talk a lot about different tools you can use to maintain you while in relationship to other people. And in relationship in general indicates that there is like a measurement. So in math, and actually in quite a few books from Access Consciousness regarding relationships, relationships are seen as the measurement between two objects. You have object A and object B, and what you're doing is measuring the space between them. That is what a relationship is. So relationship actually is an indicator of separation automatically. And if you've listened to any of these A to Zen shows with anybody who's a facilitator, whether it's a bars facilitator or a certified facilitator for Access Consciousness, you've likely heard description. I think we've mentioned it on my show maybe once or twice. However, this concept of that separation also creates this sort of sense where people can then either put themselves as a 49 inferior or put themselves as superior, so that when you're actually in communion with a person and you're totally listening to yourself and you have a relationship and more of a communionship and a creationship with your body, then you can be in more awareness of it and also communicating with it, so that there's a sense of communion with your body and, in essence, with other people. So once you have communion with you and the entire planet, universe, and all the molecules in it, it's like you can, having an individual relationship, we'll use that word for the show just for the sake of making sense to everybody. When you're choosing that with one individual to, say, copulate with, or to have some kind of business partnership with, whatever it is you're choosing with somebody, whether it's just even go on a date and have fun, you're going to find that if you are choosing to be in communion with you and everything else, there is far greater ease when you're choosing to have playmates, whether it's for copulation or business or just for fun, that communion with everything and everyone expands you so much and your awareness so much that choosing what will work for you and what does work for you and will be fun and expansive for you is total ease. So when we're choosing to not be aware of any of this stuff, and when we're choosing to contract and be in our heads and not be in communion with our body or have a relationship with our body, because most people spend most of their time out of their body, even when they're doing grounding techniques, they'll still be half in and half out of their body. So what if it's really about communion with all, having awareness of everything, and then you can even be aware when somebody's playing superior ass on you. This week I had a fun and fine example, and I would totally laugh if this would be the one show that somebody is actually listening to that actually is about them. But this week I had an incident which was interesting. It was all via text, and the person was playing superior ass on me, and I was fully aware of it. And so as I was receiving texts that were like a lot of swearing, more swearing even than I usually do on this show, which is kind of mind-blowing because normally this is like a great big trucker swear fest. So what was really going on was, like, as I expanded, I could see all these places in this person's universe where they have always gotten what they desired from everybody because they play superior ass. And I was like, wow, this is really fun to observe. And I don't have to go to inferior to actually be in communication with this person. So as I became more space and I could perceive what was going on in their universe, I could go, look at that. Like, that's an interesting choice. So it's interesting to see what they would choose to use in language to create something for their future. And also to choose this particular language and particularly be insulting towards certain people that I got their backs, that would create for them a future where they are creating separation on purpose. And it was like, wow, people are very interesting. So the power play in that one was like, there was a power play where the person was playing this game with me of guilt and shame and blame. It was really cute. And so in Access, we refer to these things as distractor implants. Now, if you were on my show 2 weeks ago, we had Julia Sotis on, and we were talking about anger. And so anger is also one of the distractor implants, and it shows up in different ways for different things. So in this case, I thought this is fascinating, as most of my life has been run by guilt and shame and blame. And there's more of them. So there's 24 distractor implants: guilt, shame, blame, regret, anger, fury. There's so many obsessive, compulsive, perverted points of view, love, sex, jealousy, death. There's so many of them. So I'll be tapping into some of them today because that's what was coming up for me. And I found it interesting that as I was acknowledging the energy of the guilt that was trying to be implanted on me and imparted on me. And basically, when we talk about implants and explants on these shows, it's like when somebody tries to put a thought into your head and make it real and have you buy it as real, like they're basically giving you a pile of dirty, smelly frickin' underwear, and they're telling you, you must take it and smell it, and you have to own this, and now you have to wear this dirty underwear because I told you to. That's being superior ass and implanting points of view into a person so that they are basically under your control. Now, I love puppetry, but I'm not so fond of people playing puppet with me or me playing puppet with them. I have done that in the past, played the puppetry games with people where they're puppeteering me or vice versa. And so this is like where you are taking total control of somebody's, you're choosing it because you're actually giving them a no choice reality, enforcing it, convincing them, and they still have choice to buy into that. And so once they've bought into that no choice reality, you locked them in. So how freaking awesome are you? So what the person was trying to do to me, and I thought it was rather cute and funny, there was a lot of guilt around it. So anybody who's ever been listening to my show might know some background of me. I'm aside from being a healer, and I do a lot of body work, energy work, physical body work, that's somatic body work to move the body to align the spine. I also do energy work that uses photons and machines, and I use other energy work that uses pulse electromagnetic fields. So I have a lot of modalities that I've played with, and I will be talking about these modalities on other shows of mine. So if any of these modalities are curious to you, I will talk about them more as I have become more aware and been enlightened by a friend of mine that perhaps I should start to talk about myself a little more and give you guys some insight into what I actually do in a more elaborate way. So one of the things that I also do is that for years and years I trained as a martial artist. So it was actually something that was going on with martial arts that I had offered somebody something, and then something came up in my universe, and so I hadn't confirmed this, and I needed to let the person know that I couldn't confirm it. Well, they'd already assumed, and that's that assume word, making the ass out of themselves, like ass out of you and me. I didn't really feel like I was being made, like I didn't feel like an ass. I just acknowledged that they were not being diligent to look at the information I was giving them. So what it came down to was there was a lot of guilt, shame, blame, and attempting to give me a bunch of regret, which I was like, wow, this person, and then I became so aware that this person has run their life on giving that to everybody, the guilt, shame, blame, and regret of everything. And it's like, wow. So what else is possible with discussing things with people, and in order to actually create something that works for you, would you be willing to kind of step out of situations where you're very aware of manipulation and just go, wow, interesting point of view, I have that point of view. So for any of you who are listening to this show, you might have heard the show that Christine McIver had on Inspired Choices on Wednesday, July 1st, which was about the IPOV, exercising your IPOV. The beauty of that call was so many IPOVs showed up in my life this week that has been so much fun. So interesting point of view, they have the point of view, is such an amazing tool to create space. And for me, it created immense space with, especially regards to this particular, texting thing that was going on. And it created such an immense space for me that I could just go, wow, like I actually don't have the point of view that I should have to, bend and be submissive to you, even though you technically rank higher than me as a martial artist. I'm like, wow, interesting. What actually creates these ranks? Oh, interesting. And I'm like having all these things come up in my universe, and I went, this is possible. What if a rank means nothing? And like, what if none of that is significant? And it truly is not significant. So what I also became aware of was like, wow, I've actually been in life-threatening situations from very high-ranking martial artists who have literally tried to kill me on purpose, and I've survived. So I'm like, wow, that's pretty amazing. So do I then outrank them? So sometimes in these like martial arts communities, if you go into a dojo and you offer to fight their highest ranking teacher and you win, then you, back in the day, you would get their dojo. So it's like, wow, I actually survived on 3 attempts on my life from an individual who is a high ranking martial artist. One was like, and please don't feel sorry for me when you hear this story. I'm just like, wow, maybe I outrank this person because my awareness may actually be far greater than maybe my martial skills, and it actually got me to move or do something called like a 9 tranny thing, which is there was a class going on in Copenhagen, which is called the 9 trannies, and it has to do with how we can shift and be anything at any time. So when we come back from break, I'll leave you on the cliffhanger. I had a sword coming at me. Then I lived. How does it get any better than that? So what else can we do to not buy the lie that we are inferior or superior to anybody? When we come back from break, let's talk more about that.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life, and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bar session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
What does optimal cell health mean, and how can you create it? Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy by Swiss Bionics can improve your well-being in every area of your life. The PEMF mat stimulates cells to move and create space between cells for optimal cell function. How does it get better than that? Use 2 to 3 times per day for 8 minutes will improve circulation and immune function. Cell metabolism and repair begins, and mobility also will increase. Do you desire better health? If you're interested or would like a session, call 613-473-3805 or in Toronto. Call or text 416-253-1617. Monthly rentals start at only $300 per month. Is now the time to choose optimal cell health?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. Host, Milica Jelenic, and tonight we're talking about what's your power play. So in relationship, I've noticed that people, I don't know you guys haven't noticed this, but people play games, right? So if you haven't noticed that, and you happen to be the person in my garden hiding under the rock, would you like me to lift the rock for you right now? And you can come on out and join the rest of us, where we start to actually become aware that people play games in relationship. And just for the sake of this show, I'm using the word relationship, even though I did kind of do a disclaimer explanation of relationship at the beginning of it. So when we're creating this superior-inferior thing, there is a bit of manipulation that goes on. So when you're being either inferior, playing inferior can also be a manipulation. So one of the ways to play inferior is to play pathetic. Like, I can't do that. I'm no good at that. I can't blah, 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 blah. And crying is an amazing manipulation. So when people actually become aware of your manipulations, they often don't buy them, and it can kind of create tension and stress and blah, blah, blah. So then what do you usually do? You try and find another manipulation that's going to work, like guilt or shame or blame. So we tend to use these distract or implant things like guilt, shame, blame, and regret in order to manipulate people to do what we want them to do. So like I was saying before break, I'd had this very interesting experience, and I did a lot of iPods this week, and I'm actually really grateful for the clarity that I got from this person who sent me this really colorful text that had more swearing than I even usually do, which all you guys who listen know that's a lot. So I think the F word was used something like 50 times in one text, but I actually have to check and see. And the thing about it was, like, I could get that this person was attempting to manipulate me with blame and shame and guilt. And it's like, wow, if they'd actually been kindness, the kindness actually would have been what would have created change, and I probably would have found a way to accommodate them. So the funny thing is you got to really become aware of what energy is going to contribute the most. So for some people, the guilt, shame, blame, and regret is going to work amazing. And please don't just go to guilt, shame, blame, and regret. Please, be aware of the energy you're choosing to be and create and utilize. So when you're aware of it, you're not at the effect of it, and you're still in a choice universe, compared to being in a no-choice universe where your knee-jerk reaction is to make people feel like crap, or trying to make them feel like crap. Nobody can actually make you feel like crap. So even a superior ass can throw all kinds of stuff at you to belittle you, and you can choose to feel like crap or not feel like crap. So my choice was, I saw all this stuff and I was like, wow, that's interesting. And I actually almost immediately went to iPod after going, fuck you, ass. Oh, interesting point of view. I have that point of view. And then I just went to iPod, and literally, it was about 30 seconds, and I started to become more and more space. And as it became space, I could see the bigger picture and what was really going on. So when I was talking before the break, and I kind of left you guys with a cliffhanger about, swords coming at me 3 times, having my life basically completely actually threatened. So kind of having a sword coming at your head is one of them. And I did become, and at the time I didn't have the tools of access, but I did have this space. And in some martial arts, they call it void. So you get a space where you're in the mind of no mind, is what they call, is kind of the translation of it, where you have no thoughts, feelings, or emotions, and you just move. And your body, you just total awareness. So your body moves in a way to actually look after itself. And so on 3 separate occasions in my life, I've actually had that, and the results of it have always been different. So on another occasion, it was like I became really aware. It's like, oh, I'm being choked here. And wow, how interesting it is to be suffocated and choked. And I'm kind of lying there going, what would it take to change? Can I change this? I actually went to question him, which was hilarious. Looking back on it, my life is being threatened and I'm literally being choked alive or to death. And I'm in question, what's it going to take to change this? And my body totally relaxed, and which drew the person in, and then I could save my life. So the only part of me that could move at the time was my head. I could rotate it back and forth. Everything else was pinned, and my neck and throat were pinned. So the one thing I could do was kind of move my head back and forth enough to move my chin to bite the person's face and scare the poop out of them and get them off of me. So I had an awareness in my universe about the energy that this person was creating, and a lot of it was of violence, rape, and I'm familiar with those energies. They've been in my life before. I've had those experiences. So I know it's funny listening to me talk about it because I'm kind of talking about it casually, but it's actually really different for me now than it ever was before, where I would cry about these things and have all of you buy into my universe of sadness. And it's not that. It's actually been a really fascinating sort of thing for me to know that questions can save your life. And so they did for me, and I got this awareness and I used it. And I also became such space that I was the intensity of space to save my life on 3 occasions. So would you be willing to be that intensity of space? And I'm wondering too, for me, am I willing to be that intensity of space of my being, even if it isn't life-threatening? So for me, it was like I required some kind of life-threatening circumstance to tap into that potency that I'd be. And then there was another time where I could tap into the potency I'd be, and that I self-initiated. So I know that it's possible. Do you know that it's possible? Like, would you be willing to tap into the total potency of who you be, not play superior, not play inferior, and just be the potency and the intensity of space that you truly be? There is so much magic in that, and that it literally can, save your body. So it's not like you ever die. You are an infinite being. Your body can die, and my body wasn't desiring to be attacked at the time, and my being was choosing to, keep choosing this body. So the fun thing was space, right? And how much space that later created for me. I mean, it was like really intense, and my first impression was like, whoa, that was really intense. And then, the choking occasion, I think I had bawled my eyes out for like 3 hours after. It was like the most intense experience I'd had to date. Birthing my child was less intense than being in a life-threatening situation. I was like, yes, I can birth anything now. So it was funny because most people say that birthing is the most intense experience of your life. And I'd have to say, for me, the most intense experience in this embodiment was having my life be threatened. So my body be threatened, and that would actually have me leave it. So when it comes to relationships, and when I'm talking about that superior inferior, when anybody's trying to play the superior to you, you can be, and you buy it as true and real, you automatically make yourself inferior. So I've spent years of my life with somebody who was playing those games, and there was this inferior superior thing and life-threatening stuff that was going on. And so one of the things that I'm starting to become aware of is that I am neither superior or inferior to anybody. And guess what, guys? Neither are you. Well, what if we are all who we truly be, and when we choose to be friends with somebody or lovers with somebody, that we can be us and they can be them, and we can meet each other in a way that's like a communion rather than yes, I'm so much smarter, better, brighter, and I have greater intuition and I have greater skills and I'm this and I'm that. Like, that is obnoxious. So for anybody who's playing obnoxious superior ass, trust me, I know it, been that for many years, superior ass. Like, it was, oh yes, well, I can do Reiki this way because I'm a superior ass and I learned from one of the best masters in all of Canada, therefore I am a superior ass. And there is like this superiority that comes out, and some people are drawn to that superiority and love it. And so that's when, when you're choosing somebody to tell you exactly how to live your life, you're choosing a guru. If you're choosing awareness and you're not choosing somebody to tell you how to live your life, but you're choosing to be in question and have choice, create possibilities, that is expansive, and that is consciousness. So are you choosing a guru or are you not choosing a guru? Neither is right or wrong, just a choice. So I'm choosing to be in whatever that looks like, and however that shows up in this 10 seconds. And that can change. And the coolest thing is you can change your mind. And anybody who tells you you're not allowed to change your mind is being a superior ass. So if you have, chosen something and in the next 10 seconds you unchoose it, cool. You are allowed to. And anybody who tells you otherwise is full of shit. So even my daughter changes her, makes choices every 10 seconds. She's the finest example of that I have in my life. And she'll be like, Mommy, I want a bath. No, I don't. I'd like a shower. No, I'd only like to wash my feet and maybe my bum. And now later I'd like to wash my hair, but in the sink. And it's like, wow. Okay, so it's like she's so willing to be in the moment, in the 10 seconds, in the choice, in the question, in the possibilities, like every 10 seconds. And she's like constantly creating. Today she made like 3 paintings. She's in creation mode so much because she's always, and I allow her, and that's the thing is, I allow her to choose frequently. Sometimes it frustrates the crap out of me, and at the same time I totally admire her. So all those frustrations I have, and I start to get that all those frustrations I have is where I'm not willing to give myself permission and be an allowance of me in my 10-second choices. So if you're noting that people piss you off because they change their mind all the time, is it possible that you're pissed off at you for not being willing to choose every 10 seconds? And everything that doesn't allow you to choose every 10 seconds, will you just destroy and uncreate all of that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, and for any of you that are new to this show or new to anything Access Consciousness, that little mumbo jumbo I just said is called the Access Clearing Statement, and you can find that on www.accessclearingstatement.com, and I'll give you like a lowdown on that. So everywhere that you're not willing to be completely present in your life, and wherever you're giving yourself up for somebody else's point of view, will you now destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyond. So I kind of do that when a lot of funk comes up in the air, and I've been bringing up a lot of crap, so I wanted to clear that. Everywhere also that you guys have gone into, oh my God, she was blah, 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 and that guy, I can't believe that guy did to her, whatever. Please, let's destroy and uncreate all of the projections, expectations, judgments, rejections, separations, distance, conclusions, and computations that you have around the, oh my God, I can't believe that, blah, blah, blah. So awesome. Right, wrong, good, bad, pot, all nine, shorts, boys, and beyonds. And everywhere anything like that has shown up in your universe and you've gone to play pathetic, like, oh my God, he was so nasty to me and he blah, 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 blah'd me and blah. So can we please look at this from a different point of view? Where are you in all of this? Are you choosing to be present in your life? Are you choosing to be aware? Are you choosing to choose? Are you choosing to be neither superior or inferior to anybody? I would love to be in a world where everybody is who they truly be, and we manipulate for fun because we know we can, and we're all aware of it, and then we can choose to buy it or not buy it, rather than the manipulation and the, trying to mess people over with all kinds of stuff. So there is a fun manipulation, and you can, and then there's all this other stuff. Like if it's fun for you, and if you're aware that somebody's manipulating you and you choose it, and then you're pissed off about it, that's your choice. You chose the manipulation. Now, if somebody's manipulating you and you choose it and you're really enjoying the manipulation, cool. How's it get any better than that? So either way, it's a choice. If you're not willing to be aware of it or acknowledge it, or even being willing to be aware or acknowledge manipulators, superior asses, or where you're being a superior ass, or even being an evil user whore, like any of that stuff, if you're not willing to be aware of it or even being willing to be it, then you cannot be aware of it. So are you willing to be aware of even all of the players, all these people who are that maybe you have a lot of judgment on? And if we can be willing to be aware of all of these energies and even be willing to be that when it's required, then you have choice. Until then, if you're not willing to be any of that, all those walls go up and you cannot even receive energy from these people to even be aware of what that energy is, to choose it or not choose it. So I think it's time for break. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I'm going to just check in for a second with my producer. And if it is break, we'll be going to break. And if it's not break, okay, cool. So we can go to break now. When I come back, I didn't even realize what I was doing with time. I was morphing it. And we'll talk more about all kinds of things relationship-wise in your power play game.
Many of us have created a lot of limitations around sex and what we are willing to choose. Would you be willing to explore what has already been introduced as sexual practices on this planet? What else is possible beyond what we have already seen, heard, or thought of? What if now is the time for a totally different sexual revolution? Taking the taboo out of all aspects of sex, sexuality, and copulation. By tuning into the Pleasure Zone radio show with body whisperer Milica Jelenic, you'll receive tools, inspiration, and a foundation to allow yourself to receive more in your sex life and quite possibly other areas of your life as well. Listen for The Pleasure Zone with Milica every Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central Time, 6 p.m. Mountain Time, and 5 p.m. Pacific Time on a2zen.fm.
What would you say if I told you that you could change your life in only 1 hour and all while lying down relaxing? Thousands of people all over the world have. What am I talking about? It's called Access Consciousness, the bars. The bars is an energetic body process that contains 32 different points on your head that when run assist you in releasing decisions about any area of your life that you have made solid and as a result cannot change. The bars is the first class in Access Consciousness, a dynamic set of tools and information designed to transform any area of your life. When you have a bars session, the worst that can happen is you feel like you had a fantastic massage. The best thing that can happen is your whole life could change. Go to accessconsciousness.com today to find a facilitator to schedule a private session or to find a bars class in your area. Are you willing to give yourself an hour to change your life?
What does optimal cell health mean, and how can you create it? Pulsed electromagnetic field therapy by Swiss Bionics can improve your well-being in every area of your life. The PEMF mat stimulates cells to move and create space between cells for optimal cell function. How does it get better than that? Use 2 to 3 times per day for 8 minutes will improve circulation and immune function. Cell metabolism and repair begins, and mobility also will increase. Do you desire better health? If you're interested or would like a session, call 613-473-3805 or in Toronto. Call or text 416-253-1617. Monthly rentals start at only $300 per month. Is now the time to choose optimal cell health?
This is the Pleasure Zone with body whisperer Milica Jelenic. To participate in the program today, please call us in the U.S. Call 815-880-8255-TALK or Canada 613-800-8736. Or you can Skype us at a2zen.fm. You can also make the choice to ask for comment by email by sending to Milica at milicajelenic.com. Now, back to the program.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Pleasure Zone. I'm your host, Milica Jelenic. For any of you listening, if you'd like to call in, you're more than welcome to. I'd love to hear from you. In the U.S., you can call 1-815-880-8255. In Canada, you'd think I'd know the number because I'm from Canada. We'll get that for you. But you can also Skype into a2zen.fm, and you can join us in the chat room. I'd love to hear from you guys. So it's all fun talking to myself and the energies and everything, and it's really fun talking to all of you. So the phone number in Canada, thank you, Carol, is 613-800-8736 for anybody who would like to call in. So for those of you who are looking at your relationship right now and as you've been listening to this going, oh, okay, so yes, I've played that game and I use a lot of guilt for people. Cool. So would you be willing to acknowledge that you use guilt with people, get what you just desire and require? And please don't make that a wrongness. It's not that it's a wrongness. So would you be willing to acknowledge it? And now that you can acknowledge that you utilize that, can you also acknowledge where that will create for you and where it won't? And is there an energy that would be greater and a greater contribution? So sometimes guilt is what will work, and sometimes it's not. So one of the things I'm aware of is that a lot of people in their life haven't acknowledged my awareness yet and where it's at compared to where when they knew me, say, years ago. And it's really funny because they are still in the energy of guilt works. And guilt works with this girl because I've used it before, and therefore guilt will always work with this person. The funny thing is to see people who have done that and then to see where I'm at now, and does guilt still work for me? And it actually doesn't. It's funny because I'm like, nice try, guilt. That was really funny. Blame, I was like, well, that's interesting. Blame kind of works. So what is that? And it was like, oh, did I buy that it's true that I'm responsible for everybody and everything in the entire universe? Well, am I ever a superior ass thinking that I'm in charge of everybody and everything? I do acknowledge I'm an amazing creator, that I'm also an amazing contribution to the planet, and so are you guys. Every single one of us are amazing contributions to the planet. It's not that you have to have a radio show, so you don't have to like work on people as a healer. Everything that you choose and do, you are like, your essence changes everything. And I think I might have my friend Daria come on one day and talk about actualization and alchemy, and she's amazing with that. And there's this thing about you being you, that add you to anything and everything changes. So there's such a beauty to that, that like, what if you started to add you to relationship? So if you have a lover, would you like to add you to this instead of adding the fantasy of who you think you should be or who they think you should be? And how aware are you? Are you picking up on every thought, feeling, and emotion that they have and they're projecting it at you? Yeah, you. Like, are you that magical that you would be picking up on everybody's thoughts, feelings, and emotions, and you walk down the street or you're in sack with somebody or about to get in the sack and you're like, oh, wow, like he just wants, oh, yeah, it's going to be like a one-night stand. Oh, my God, blah, blah, blah. Like, are you already aware of that? Will you be willing to acknowledge what you are aware of, acknowledge your awareness, and then instead of going to pathetic when it shows up, go, cool, I was so aware. Look at me. I was aware. That was a one-night stand. Instead of going, oh my God, it was a one-night stand and he left me and now I feel like a pile of shit and blah, blah, blah. And I knew it was a one-night stand, but I did it anyway. I'm like, wow, so can you just choose? If it's fun and light for you, choose the one-night stand. If it's not fun and light for you, don't choose it. Please don't go to pathetic because you think that you don't know anything, because you actually know everything. So especially about you and your body, and it's just a matter of listening to it. So tapping into your knowing. I think I spent, I don't even know how many years doing so-called trainings like for this, and one of the greatest tools that I've ever had was given to me by Access. And I only spent like probably $20,000 or $30,000 before going to spiritual teachers, spiritual healers, and everybody who knew everything and would tell me exactly how to live my life. They were really good at it, and I was really good at letting them. And so now, like, one of the greatest tools I ever got was, who does it belong to? So for every thought, feeling, and emotion. So if you feel like you're obsessing about somebody and you're like, can't get you off my mind, blah, 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 blah. If you can get somebody off your mind, what do you know? Is it actually that they're thinking about you all the time? That their energy is so totally connected to you all the time? So if it's bothering you that they're on your mind all the time, would you be willing to just ask them to give you some space? Okay, you can step out of my head now. Thank you. If you'd like to contact me, give me a call. Send me an email. Send me a letter. Send me some presents. Send me some cash. Whatever you'd like, just ask for it. And, if you'd like more space in your head, you can also take the density of all those thoughts, feelings, and emotions. If they're not yours, they'll leave. And if you have bought them as yours, even though they're not yours, you can just start to expand them. Huge. Friggin' totally huge, beyond your head, beyond your room you're in, beyond the space you're in, beyond the city and, the planet too, and just like all the way to the farthest reaches of the universe. So I'd really like for you guys to get that one of the things that I've been playing with is like acknowledge the energy that's coming up. So if you're with somebody and their power play game is to do guilt and shame or separation from you, separation is a lie. We already know that. Everything is connected. We're all intertwined. All the molecules dance with all the molecules, and constantly in communication with everything, always, if we choose to have that. And even if we don't choose it, it's still happening. If we choose to be aware of it, how much more can we have of it? So all that dancing around molecules. And so what if you acknowledge what you're aware of? And cool, I'm aware that person just tried to create separation. Interesting. What is that? Oh, it's a lie. Cool. And can you pock and pot a lie? No, you don't need to. So can you just acknowledge and go, oh, cool, that was a lie. Interesting. And, if they're still creating that false separation with you, can you be an allowance of it? Is that something that they desire and require? And what else is possible? Can you pull their energy to you? Can you flow energy to them? Can you, what is required? So ask, always ask. And in this 10 seconds, it might be flow energy. In the next 10 seconds, it might be pull energy. And the next 6 seconds, it might be an allowance of their choice to be creating separation. So even though it's not real. So if they like that, would you be willing to allow them to have that? And so for everybody who's like, no, I just want him to love me. Or guys who are just like, but I just want her to do me. Like, I don't know what the problem is. Can you guys just look at this and be an allowance of the person that you're choosing? So if they're choosing to, get it on and then leave, and you're like, but I really want to cuddle and sleep and blah, blah, blah. Would you be willing to just like be with who they be? Be an allowance of who they be, and then, okay, cool, and acknowledge who they are and what they're choosing. Just acknowledge it. Cool, they're choosing this. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. That's allowance. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have the point of view, they have that point of view. Interesting point of view, I have the point of view that I have that point of view and that they have that point of view. That interesting point of view tool is like so amazingly magical for creating space. I totally, fully challenge all of you, because it's going to be a challenge, because you're going to have to be working hard at this. I'm just kidding. Just choose it, right? Interesting point of view, on some keynotes. Stick them in your house, stick them on your mirror, stick them in your car, stick them on your steering wheel, stick them on your computer. Like everything that comes up, you're watching the news, stick it on your TV. Interesting point of view, they have that point of view. 99% of the news is bullshit anyways. It's all freaking created. It was actually like such an amazing revelation when I found that out when I was in Serbia 15 years ago, and people were telling me about the fabricated news that was being created. Mass destruction that was being falsified. It was amazing that people were actually coming out in public with this and were acknowledging it and going, yeah, no, we chose because we needed money, so we made this film for BBC or whoever. Yeah, I'm just outing that all over the place. And these were from people who actually had an in, so they were totally, fully willing to acknowledge that. So interesting point of view on the news, because point of view. So check the energy of stuff when it comes up. If you're watching the news and something goes in your universe, like, is it a lie? It's very possibly a lie that you're actually perceiving. And is there something in there that is uncomfortable because it's about to change something in the world? Or, like, what are you aware of? So please ask questions. Get the energy of what it is. When you start to come to conclusion and you call it your awareness, which I've heard a lot of people doing lately, they're doing this cute thing called, it's my intuition. And trust me, I make money on my intuition. So please acknowledge when it's an awareness and when it's a conclusion. Conclusion is the thing you keep coming back to over and over and over and over and over and over again, and you're not willing to see anything beyond that. Awareness and true intuition will continually and always. So for all of you who keep on going back to the same frickin' old, or you're going back to like whatever somebody told you was real and true, what the heck else is possible? I'm always looking at what else is possible, and there are things that come up in my world that are completely different than what everybody else in Access is talking about. And then like months later, I'm like, wow, now they're talking about what I'm talking about. What if you're actually like light years ahead of most people? And what if you are your own guru? Like, what if what if you know? And what if you were willing to ask questions, perceive the energy, follow the energy, and if relationships are fun for you, choose them. I had a few tips I wrote down, so I'd like to share them with you before the show ends. So the first one is acknowledge what it is, the energy that's coming up if you're doing a power play game. So is it shame, blame, regret, or one of those distractor implants coming up? Is the person trying to create separation with you? Like, what is it? And if it is separation, it's a lie. If it's a distractor implant, would you be willing to pock and pod all the distractor implants and everything underneath them? Awesome. So now the next step is, what can you do with it? So part of that is distractor implants and pock and potting them. Can you choose space? Can you choose interesting point of view? There are so many amazing tools from Access Consciousness. If you've never taken a bars class, or you have taken a bars class, or you just like a bunch of tools from the bars class, please contact me. If you'd like to have a session over the phone, I can give you like handfuls of tools that you can use for your life. So you can contact me via my website at www.milicajelenic.com. That's www.milicajelenic.com. You can Facebook friend me and ask me stuff on there. For fair warning, just letting you know, if it's anything over $5, I do charge, but if it's for like a really quick question, I am willing to do that with you. So acknowledge it, then say, what can I do with this? Can I do anything with this? Maybe you can. So pock and potting your distractor implants, choosing to be space, expanding your being to the farthest reaches of the universe. And if you've never heard that exercise, it's been done on the show a lot, and I can always send you a recording of that if you like. Please contact me for that. And then, so can it change? Like, what can this change? And if so, what can I do to change it? So for me, that example that I gave at the beginning of the thing with the texting is like, okay, what is this? Oh, that's shame, blame, regret. What can I do with it? I was like, interesting point of view. That was one of the things I could do to create space and pock and pod all the distractor implants. Then the other question is, so what is this? What can I do with it? Can it change? It was like, it can change for me. Is it relevant if it can change for them? Not so much. So it already did start to change as soon as I started to acknowledge it. That's the beauty of it. And then what can I do to change it was like, just keep on acknowledging it, keep on doing the iPod. So there's a lot less charge for me on that today, and it's almost funny, and I'm getting so much awareness on like this person's universe. And not that I require the information on it, it's just part of who I be. Is like, as I iPod things and I get greater space, I perceive a lot more in everybody's universe. So one of my things this week too, or was it last week, was like, what if my joy can actually match my awareness? Because holy cow, sometimes my awareness is massive and I'm perceiving a lot of stuff that's like, and then I just get Debbie Downer. So it's like acknowledging how aware I am. And just how aware I am of other people's choice to suffer is like sometimes really frustrating. So is everybody with me on like creating way more space in this universe? And like on the count of 3, everywhere that you are choosing to play the power game so that you can be inferior or superior to anybody, can we 1, 2, 3 destroy and uncreate all that times a godzillion? 1, 2, 3. And everywhere, 1, 2, 3 again. And then on 4, what if we open the door to a new reality with people where we don't have to play the power game? If you're choosing to manipulate, it's total awareness. It's not from a knee-jerk reaction. So on 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, let's open the door to a totally different possibility where we can just choose whatever it is that is a greater contribution to our lives and everybody else's life with us who's choosing to be in communion. So I am so grateful for all of you choosing to listen to the show tonight. Some of it, a lot of it was more related to, an incident, but please look at where any of this is in context to your life. If you have any of this in context to your life, and if any of these tools can assist you, please use them. And just like, I'm so grateful if they are a contribution to your life. I love how they work for me, and I really desire to play more with creating change in the universe and facilitating ease for people. So if in any way I can contribute to you, please feel free to contact me. Until next week, when I'm going to have a whole list of shows coming up that will be listed in advance, because I'm so excited, and now I actually have some awareness on how to create that. Thank you to my producers. And thank you. So I will be doing that soon. And for everybody, until then, I've got a bars class coming up in Oshawa on July 19th, and you can join me. I'd love that. Have a great night.
Thank you for choosing to listen to The Pleasure Zone. Milica Jelenic will return next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Central, 6 p.m. Mountain, and 5 p.m. Pacific on a2zen.fm. We hope you'll join us. Until then, have the best week of your life by choosing to be turned on and tuned in to your body.